Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Talk Network, and welcome to Steve's Wrestling Ramble. Here I am starting 10 minutes early, well, specifically actually 11 minutes early, as it is 6:49 p.m. Central Time. So I just, why not, try to get it started, get out of the way. Plus I have TV shows that I'm looking forward to watch later tonight anyway, so I might as well get the episode up as early as I can. Yesterday, Wednesday, I was trying to remember this, but yesterday I did a video. Usually I have my Raw reviews, on Monday SmackDown Live reviews, and then Wednesdays I have an open spot for videos, and I did that's the Ravens spinoff, Ravens Home review. Next Wednesday, my open slot, I will be doing a review of a show that a lot of people are fans of, and that is being My Little Pony, Magic of Friendship. I'll be doing a video on that. That being 6 seasons deep, 7th season already underway. So I'll be giving my thoughts review on that at that time. And here, like I said, now we're going to talk Steve's Wrestling Ramble. I did my Raw and SmackDown reviews, so my team members, which hopefully Mark can come back to us at some point in the future. I don't know if he's just going to be holding out until SummerSlam. I mean, that is the big show. And these are just weekly shows, so whatever. But hopefully Mark Rambo is able to return to the show at the SummerSlam prediction episode, because I don't know if he'll be here tonight, but we'll see if we get him anywhere on the road to SummerSlam, let alone at SummerSlam, meaning at the SummerSlam prediction episode on August 17th. Mark that down, write it, type it, post a note, whatever you have to do. August 17th, 7 p.m. start. Try to make a nice hard start right there at 7 p.m. Central. If things go on that day that I can't start at 7 p.m. Central, it'll start shortly thereafter. I have a plethora of guests already locked in, already signed on the dotted line, so to speak, that will be part of the show. Some heavy hitters here on YouTube, and some ones like us that are growing, that are 1K or below subscriber count. So either way, it's all people that I respect. I wouldn't have them on the show if I didn't respect them, if I didn't value their opinion, if I didn't think they belong here just as much as I would think I would belong as a guest on somebody else's show. As I usually do, give my weekly shout-outs to, first off, to the Lazy Booking Podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at LazyBookingPC, the host Willie at Fight Billy Fight, and Chrome at Heel Chrome, also at Retired Beer Man. He is sometimes a guest there, or not guest, but like a rotational co-host on that show. Great person, great guy as well. Follow him on Twitter, which one's there. And also Instagram, but mostly Twitter. Well, follow me on Twitter at WWE_podcast. Follow me on Instagram with my new Instagram name there, Stevie K. So that's Stevie K _06 there on Instagram, and WWE_podcast on Twitter. So let me introduce my co-host for the evening. He's here each and every week. Really appreciate Kyrie here. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve. Happy to be here. I'm a little sleepy after coming from a pretty great basketball game my brother just played, but I'm doing good.
Good to hear. And I did want to get that there out of the way, because I did want, and I did say on Twitter, I even tweeted out to him specifically, I doubt he's going to see it. I doubt he's going to read that tweet, see that tweet, and I doubt he's going to watch this, but if he does, cool. But it was directed to BC Amplified, and I wanted to start off the show talking about, and again, before I even talk about BC, as I'm going to say in each and every video, all the way up to the SummerSlam prediction episode, I'm not on camera, haven't been on camera for a while, but I will be making my glorious return back on the camera at the SummerSlam prediction episode. But if you see past videos, you already know what I look like, so it's not like a face reveal or anything, but it's just something that for now I'm doing. So that will be happening also on the 17th of August. I'll be back on camera, see this, whatever you feel, pretty face, ugly mug, whatever you describe it, it'll be back on the screen at that time, August 17th, 7 p.m., stuff like that. But this is directed to BC Amplified, not in a negative way, because I respect him. I watch his videos. I watch pretty much all his videos. I subscribe to his channel, and I ring his bell on his channel, so I know when all of his videos are coming out. But it's just that, as much as I respect his opinion, sometimes I differ on him, like the fact of him talking about not liking other superstar matches and him thinking that he's the end all be all of knowing things or reading things or with his amplified booking, like he's the best of the best. I mean, he's kind of like the guy from What Culture, um, being a smart ass in that way. But then again, that's just the facade. That's just his character here as a wrestling personality. Again, I respect his stuff, but it's just maybe he takes it over the top with that entertainment value, and it works. He has a subscriber count that he has, and I have what I have because of that. Because he is amplified, as he puts it. He is showing that passion in that way, which again is fine. It's just sometimes I do notice it, and I'm sure his fans even notice it. I would hope that is a little bit over the top. It is just for their viewing. Like half of the stuff he might think he believes, but when the camera's off, he's like, yeah, or maybe he's like, I didn't believe most of the stuff that I said, but I said it or did it and brought it up because I knew it would get so much reaction and this and that. And I guess in this world and in the society that we live in, we want more of that. Just like we, people that are in YouTube, like seeing roast videos of celebrities or each other on YouTube, or those kind of diss tracks too, I guess, is a popular thing on YouTube. Liking those sort of things over the ones like me, like Kyron, like others that, and also Monty's Corner that talks wrestling, doing it the respectful way, that listens to their audience. It doesn't demean them by saying that my way is the only way. My opinion is the only opinion, and it's godlike, when in the end it's not. Because obviously no one's above him, that being Lord Almighty. So I guess took offense to that specifically, and just wanted to bring that up. He's always welcome to be on the show. Then again, he said he does probably never plans to be on anybody's podcast, nor in the end he doesn't need to be because he has the volume that he has. And again, like I said, it works for him, and that be what it be. But I just wanted to bring that up to start the show because A, I promised that, and B, I just want to get that off my chest because, like I said, I respect him. It's just some of those things that I noticed. Like, okay, I get it. You're taking a little too far over the top, whatever. So that when he calls fans out and this and that, or when he says that, people just want to complain about his thing because of whatever reason he gives, but in the end, it's just because that, at least I think that you just are a little too amplified, so to speak. So you might need to maybe not tone it down in volume, but tone it down in other ways. And the smart man he is, I'm sure he'll understand what I mean by that. But again, just want to bring that up. If you're watching this and you're a fan of BC Amplified, let him know of it. And I guess we'll move on from there. Again, I did my Raw and SmackDown review, so I'll let Kyron talk about the things he wants to bring up here on the show about Raw and SmackDown. He has it already on his own channel. But let's start with Monday Night Raw, Kyron, and your highlights from that show.
Highlights from Raw. Obviously, the opening segment was probably everyone's favorite thing that happened on Raw. With Kurt giving Braun, Joe, and Roman all rightfully should get a universal title shot at SummerSlam. And I'll be honestly happy if any of them win that match, even if Roman does. And the brawl was just perfect. One thing, even though you can argue it gets a little lazy when it comes to books, because it'll pop a crowd. A good brawl is not, you can never go wrong with a good brawl. And three great brawls like Roman, Strowman, and Joe was great. I enjoyed from Raw. I enjoyed the Sasha Banks and Bayley match. Sasha and Bayley have great chemistry and always work together very well given the time. And I was legit shocked that Bayley won. And she'll be fake. I thought Sasha would win and she would face Alexa. At Great Ball of Fire, she was kind of robbed because Alexa got herself counted out. And now Bayley gets to face Alexa at SummerSlam, and they get to redeem themselves from the match, which I still consider the worst match of the year and feud of the year in general. What else happened on Raw? I can say I enjoyed. I enjoyed the handicap match with Ambrose Rollins versus the Miz and his Miztourage, especially how you get the reluctance in Ambrose. I thought it was a great story, and while he did kind of accept Rollins a little bit, that's still not best friends, and I like that, because if someone stabbed you in the back the way Rollins did Ambrose, I wouldn't be ready to forgive them either. I mean, 3 years, I would still have my suspicions. And I honestly thought Raw was a pretty good show. While I don't remember a lot that happened, I enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. And with SmackDown finally getting on the road to to SummerSlam themselves, I think they had a pretty good show. But as in Raw, it seems like maybe they're going a different direction for the Intercontinental Championship and for taking thing because you might have Ambrose and Seth Rollins going for the tag straps, taking titles at SummerSlam and having, at least from what I'm hearing, rumors of having Jason Jordan facing The Miz.
I've heard those same rumors.
So that could be a changing of things, and I like that. I like kind of mixing things up, and for the casuals, that'll be a big surprise to them if that is indeed what happens moving forward. Because most are thinking or assuming that'll be Seth Rollins one-on-one with The Miz, or what I thought it would be is with The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose in a triple threat. Then again, I'm hoping for all the matches at SummerSlam to be multi-superstars. So beyond that, specifically for the Intercontinental Championship, I was kind of hoping that could be the case. And as for the tag team title, the same. We might having Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins go with or have a run with the tag team titles, even if they're not called the Shield, and they're just Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins together, former brothers of the Shield, team members. But have a nice run, and maybe we get the Shield at SummerSlam. I mean, at WrestleMania. WrestleMania being when they all are together, come back and have whatever lengthy or short or whatever run WWE plans to have with them and for them in their, coming back and returning, whatever, being the Shield again. I mean, Roman already has the music without the obviously words, but the music and Shield stuff, so not that hard, and then have them come all together and be the Shield again at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans would be pretty cool. But all in all, Raw was pretty good. Like I said, love the ending, obviously, as a Dean Ambrose fan, with Dean getting the win there. But I still say that they're just going to continue to tease it all the way to WrestleMania, and then the payoff being then at that point with Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Seth Rollins all coming together and being the Shield again. But overall, Raw was pretty dang good. That opening segment was the best segment of the night, best moment of the night. So if everybody turned the TV off after that, then that's fine, because you saw the best part of Raw. Honestly, even as much as I did enjoy the main event, the opening was pretty good, but better, and the best part of it as well. You're going to have 4 beasts there with the actual beast included, his champion, Brock Lesnar. And from the rumors I'm hearing, maybe he might actually drop it at SummerSlam. Would I want it to go right to Roman right away? I don't know. I kind of would actually like to see it go to Braun Strowman and not Samoa Joe if they were going to go between those two. And Braun have a title reign, and then Roman taking it off him at Survivor Series or something. And then maybe having Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar again at WrestleMania. And Roman Reigns, quote-unquote, retiring Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, because I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to be re-signing with WWE. So we'll see how if that goes at all in that plan. But I think if it's not going to be Brock Lesnar to retain, I would actually hope for it to be Braun Strowman to win and become the new Universal Champion. They should have made the dominant actually beast that he is in his own right. Technically, all 4 of them are, and that's why it's a great match, because you have all 4 of those personalities, those wrestlers who will work well together. I think it's could be match of the night for SummerSlam. But again, overall, Raw pretty good, and SmackDown was pretty good as well. What are your highlights from SmackDown Live this week?
Well, before I talk about SmackDown, I just want to go to respond to something you said about the Shield getting back together. I would honestly not want to see a Shield reunion. I'm not talking about like they might team occasion. I'm talking about an actual all they get back together. I wouldn't want that, because why reunite the Shield? If you think about it, they as a team they beat everyone. They got all the gold, and they broke them up at the perfect time to the point where it didn't get stale or old. It made 3 main events. All have gone on to be WWE champion, and in fact, people want them to get back together, want more, will solidify them as one of the greatest factions of all time. Which is why whenever someone says, I think a Shield reunion would be great for them, for any of them, I think it's a step backwards, because the Shield did what it was supposed to do. It made all 3 of them stars, and since then, All three have been WWE champion. All three are still prominent in WWE today. So I disagree with the Shield reunion. And about the Universal title, while we still got a few weeks to go if I get my official prediction, who I want to win is Samoa Joe. I still want him to get the title. But like I said, SmackDown, obviously seeing one of my favorites of all time, Chris Jericho, come back was a highlight because he's still hilarious with the list of Jericho. What else did I like? I enjoyed the Cena Mahal stuff mainly because of Daniel dropping the bomb and saying next week we're gonna get John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which is, I don't know about you, a legitimate dream match for me, and I want to see that. I'm kind of disappointed that it's a SmackDown match getting 1 week build, but it's better than not having a match at all. And plus, I think it'll probably end with some interference from Corbin or something. Maybe it might end with John and Nakamura both getting a title shot and it being a triple threat match at SummerSlam. Also, the main event, triple threat main event for U.S. title, great. All three men can work. It was such a good match. While I still wonder, what's the point of taking the title off AJ Styles if you're just going to give it back to him 2 days later? That made no sense to me. Why not just have him retain it at Battleground? I mean, sure, to get Jericho, and Jericho makes a sense, but he would have got a rematch anyway. Overall, I'll be honest, I think SmackDown was definitely a step up from Battleground, which has showed that majority of people I've seen, besides maybe 1 or 2 reviews, did not like it. And it's funny. We have arguably the worst SmackDown pay-per-view since the brand split ended. The worst match since the brand split began. And this was a great episode of SmackDown. You can tell they're really trying to redeem themselves. And next week, we're gonna have a lot next week, Cena Nakamura, I believe Styles and Owens. So you can tell they're really trying to make amends from which was a really terrible show.
Yeah, but no, keep going, because I was just simply gonna say that Battleground wasn't the best. Obviously, it wasn't the best pay-per-view of 2017. But when I say it's the worst, no, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about. It had to do with BC Amplified, with his misunderstanding of why these things happen on SmackDown Live and not at Battleground. Like he was talking about, well, Jericho should have came back at Battleground. Why did it happen at SmackDown Live? With Styles should have retained, and I guess I technically agree there. But still, why all these things that happened on SmackDown Live not happen at Battleground? Because at Battleground, I think if Jericho came back then, it wouldn't have made any sense. And Battleground was not the pay-per-view to do that. No matter if you think it was the right time or place, no. Jericho's return was is, as it obviously is now, but I thought it was going to be later, on the road to SummerSlam. It was supposed to be and going to be on the road to SummerSlam. And as much as Battleground technically is on the road to SummerSlam, because anything is on the road to SummerSlam when you're heading to that pay-per-view, but Battleground being that pay-per-view before SummerSlam for the SmackDown brand, specifically SmackDown Live, you don't have that happen there. You don't have a big return of Jericho happening at Battleground. Yes, you want big things to happen at each of your pay-per-views. I keep saying it myself, BC Amplified, that I want all these pay-per-views to be better and cared about, not just the big 4, or as I call it, the big 5, Money in the Bank included, in my opinion. And those to be popped up like they did try, or like they actually did in a way, for Great Balls of Fire the first time. Yes, I didn't like the name of the pay-per-view, and I hope it does not come back. The namesake, I mean. But the way they had that card, and that card was stacked on paper, and even the show itself was pretty dang good. But Battleground, yeah, it might not have been great, but to me, in the end, as I even said on Bite That Cast with their live review of the shows and their podcast episode last night, when they were live and I was in their chat room, that the show was just fine. The pay-per-view event was fine. It wasn't terrible and it wasn't awesome. It was just fine. It was okay. It did what it was supposed to do. You had 2 title changes. What else did you want? And what else did the WWE have to do at Battleground? That, yeah, they could have had a Jericho return to be the big moments, but again, that would just been wrong place. I've been the wrong place, wrong time for that to happen. Have that happen as it did on SmackDown Live. Now, I thought it would be later. I thought maybe it would be 2 weeks from now, actually, closer to SummerSlam. But his return was supposed to be on the road to SummerSlam, the WrestleMania of summer. Chris Jericho being the GOAT, being one of the best there ever will be in WWE, besides Bret Hart and others. But it just makes sense to have a superstar like in his caliber, in his echelon, and his ranking, as I would say, rank, like in military terms, his rank, to be happening on the road to a SummerSlam and not at the Battleground pay-per-view. So that's another thing I forgot to bring up when I was talking about BC Amplified earlier that I wanted to bring up because, he was flapping his gums, and so were others, flapping their gums about that these things should have happened at Battleground when in the end they WWE did what they were supposed to do, what they could do, having title changes, this and that at Battleground to make it a tolerable, good, okay, as I put it, okay show for the WWE audience, for what Battleground was supposed to be. Then we headed now into SummerSlam, where WWE has to get their ass in gear, have awesome Raws and SmackDown Lives on the road to SummerSlam, and then SummerSlam kicking ass in its own right at the event. And also, I wouldn't want WWE sliding on SummerSlam either, because don't rest on your laurels that SummerSlam is going to be great because of its namesake. You still have to put out a good, they usually do, but I'm just saying. So them stepping it up now, and they kind of have for Raw, but now on SmackDown Live, because SmackDown Live now is on the road to SummerSlam. See, that's the difference. Raw was already on the road to SummerSlam because of Great Balls of Fire being early. That's just how now it is with the brand extension. One brand is going to have their pay-per-view before the other in a set month. So if you're having those events here in July, one being Great Balls of Fire for Raw, and then Raw being on the road to SummerSlam. SmackDown still having to book and plan out and have their shows leading up to Battleground. You don't want to forget and make it a shit show of Battleground. You want to put some thought into it. So they had that to do, and now that they're done and can finish with that and throw away all those storylines or whatever that was, or whatever, you know what I mean? That from there, now we're moving on to SummerSlam. We're moving on to that. Now SmackDown Lives each and every week. I'm not saying they're all going to be 100% graded shows, but they're dang well going to be awesome and going to be good. And because that the feuds that we're going to head into SummerSlam with from Raw and SmackDown are going to be kick-ass, and SummerSlam is going to be a can't miss, as it is each and every year. So you got to take that into consideration as well. And I do, for sure, when it comes to critiquing these shows and these events and why we each think. I mean, again, it's all our own subjective opinion. So again, I respect everybody's opinions. I always say, but I especially strongly disagree with BC Amplified and those that were thinking in that same right or same lane. That it's just was better to have Jericho return after the Battleground event. And now we're on the road to SummerSlam. Now, as everybody was bitching and complaining about WWE, and I was reading some of those tweets. And Karen was here, and so was Billy when I was doing that, reading some tweets of people's reaction to Battleground and this and that, which again I respect it, but WWE was doing what they had to do. They put on a show they thought was going to be good, and again I thought it was okay and okay to good in that grading scale, I guess. But okay, and now we're on SummerSlam, and now they're going to be on the best favorite. So why would, as a WWE fan, part of the WWE universe, and say that you're going to get rid of and cancel your WWE network after Battleground because you thought it was so much of a shit show, and now you're going to miss out on the road to SummerSlam, let alone SummerSlam, because of how much you were affected by Battleground. Again, I understand that. I'm attached to the product as well, as I wouldn't be doing this damn podcast at all. I have better things to do, technically, and more important things to do. But I do it because I love professional wrestling. I like talking with Kyron, Mark Ramble, and others about it on the show each and every single week. And all of you that might watch live or archived and hear your feedback on things. That's why I do this. That's why I would hope all of us here on YouTube that talk wrestling do it, because we're passionate about it and we want the product to be as great and awesome and best that it can damn well be. We want that. We want the best of WWE. We want WWE to stay the king. Using Triple H's theme for the opening. Be the king of kings in pro wrestling. We want that to be, and maybe we want too much. Each and every show to be awesome, and maybe that being too high of a standard, but still some of our standards are that to be, which then when that doesn't happen for pay-per-view events or shows that are weekly, then we get up in arms so much that we go to the extreme. You know, it's okay to say, oh, I didn't like this part of Raw, or this part was boring, or this and that for a show and pay-per-view. Everybody has an opinion. I respect it all, whether we agree or disagree. But then to go to the extreme of, fuck it, I'm gonna cancel my WWE Network subscription because of how bad I believe, and in my opinion was, a bad pay-per-view, speaking of them, of course, that they thought it was, taking it a little too far. And again, doing it now when you know that WWE's going to step their game up on the road to SummerSlam, let alone SummerSlam, I bet you. Well, then I shouldn't, because then again, then they just. The point is, I can bet you that most of the people that said that they were going to cancel the WWE Network subscription because of WWE Battleground and how much they thought that was a bad show are going to be back when we get to SummerSlam. They might be away for a couple of weeks, but somebody's going to get in there. They're going to watch some YouTuber. I'm talking up SummerSlam or some of these shows, and they'll be in the network Sunday, August 20th. You know they're damn well going to be there for the Mae Young Classic bracketology show that's going to be following SummerSlam. So they could say, oh, I'm going to be back for that, but not for SummerSlam. Oh, good for you. And that could be true. But technically, then you are back. You might not be back for SummerSlam and giving it to the man being Vince McMahon. But in the end, you're not. Because in the end, you're back watching content on his network. So what really did you accomplish? I don't know. Again, I respect everybody's opinion and the way they want to do things. Trust me, don't get me wrong here. I do actually respect my audience. But it's just, I think that's taking it too far. What are your thoughts on my rambling here, Kyron? Anything and everything that I just sprouted out here in a different way. Again, I'm usually not this way, but whatever, it happens sometimes.
You know, I'm not. I've rarely ever heard you go on a rant like that. Usually, that's what I do. But I mean, you said about everything I was gonna say. Trust me, I wasn't the biggest fan of the show. Granted, thinking about it again, I don't think I never once said it was the worst show of the year. I still think Fastlane holds that distinction. But I didn't like the show because while yes, there were matches I enjoyed, the tag team title match, Cena Rusev's flag match, the second half of it anyway. Most of the Styles and the Owens. But it just had some moments that I didn't really care for, like the Punjabi prison match, the ending of the U.S. title match. The women's match was all right, but at times it was just flat. Corbin and Nakamura did not like. They kind of messed up Nakamura with that one. So I try to stay positive in everything I say. While you can't be at positive 100% of the time, like you can't be negative 100% of the time. It wasn't the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen. Definitely not even the worst of the year. But Steve, whoever said tweets out, I'm going to cancel my network subscription. They're likely not going to do it. I mean, sure, our good buddy Raunchy Mikey did it, but that's most people that tweet out hashtag cancel WWE Network. One, I don't find that's appropriate, and trust me, I don't always agree with a booking decision or a match or heck, an entire pay per view. Never once will I say, oh, I'm gonna stop watching it because it's one of my passions in life. No point in stop to watch it. Like I said, Battleground was not for me personally, not that good of a show. If you liked it, more power to you. I honestly did not. But for people to say, oh, this show is the worst show of all time and cancel the network because, and I'm not watching it. Well, if you're not going to watch it, that's you. It won't be me. I'm not going to stop watching wrestling. They have to really do something truly offensive or to really anger me for me to stop. And from the stuff I sat through in wrestling, I don't think that will ever happen. So people can keep tweeting that stuff. I just don't take that stuff seriously.
Yeah, I agree 100% there, for sure. But for as in SmackDown Live and the show itself was pretty awesome. Having AJ Styles win the title, I thought was a little weird doing that in 72-hour span. Kevin Owens winning it back, and then AJ Styles just winning it right back. Maybe there was, maybe it was a flop, an issue or whatever that happened at the event at Battleground that wasn't supposed to go down that way. That AJ Styles was actually supposed to retain the championship and stay United States champion. Or maybe not, I don't know. But either way, it's made it seem that way with having AJ Styles just win the title back already on this show. But having Jericho return, him being part of that match as well, was pretty awesome. And its own right, of course, obviously. But beyond that, with the show and with SmackDown Live now on the road to SummerSlam itself. Pretty good show overall. They're probably going to keep the women's title match one-on-one as it probably should. So, I mean, heck, they had the Mother Women match at Battleground. But on Raw, we'll see if things change there from the women's division. But beyond that, I think that's most of the stuff is set in stone. And for SmackDown Live being how good it has been in the past couple of months, or even since the brand extension happened, being the A show or becoming the A show to me. Now I know maybe the ratings don't view it that way, but still, to me, it seems that way to be the truth most of the time, not all the time. But either way, good shows either way. Both of them, because hey, they're both on the road to SummerSlam. They're both going to kick it up. They're both going to be great. And each and every week, we're gonna have to, or we should tune in, enjoy, and watch, and see how these are booked and how things go for both brands, Raw and SmackDown Live. Because like I said, there'll be 12 to 14 matches we're gonna have for SummerSlam. I predict, being an early prediction of 12 to 14 matches. We'll see how many technically are on the card. And I'm talking 12 to 14 total. Not just 12 to 14, I'm saying from the main card. I'm saying overall. So I assume there probably will be 2 of those 12 to 14 that are going to be part of the pre-show. And that's what I'm including. So I'm including pre-show matches and main card because I put it all together because technically those pre-show matches are at the event, are at SummerSlam or at WrestleMania or at any pay-per-view. I do actually count them, and I actually wish, even though in the end this is trivial, so, okay. But to me, I wish that those matches were added to the pay-per-view DVDs. Yes, I know you, and also the network, to be quite honest, too. But for the DVDs, especially SummerSlam and WrestleMania. The other ones, okay, maybe not if you don't want to, but I'd actually want it for all the pay-per-views. But if they only were to do it for 2 of them, SummerSlam and WrestleMania, let those pre-show matches be part of the DVD. If you want to put it on maybe disc 3 with or disc 2, it would be actually with the ending of the main event, main show, and then the pre-show being an extra thing, fine. Or I was gonna say on disc 3, which is the Hall of Fame, you'll put an extra thing. Either way, part of the DVD, part of it because it's part of the show, and those superstars technically are getting a WrestleMania payday, a SummerSlam payday. Maybe less than those are actually on the main card, whatever that works out mathematically and financially, and how WWE works things with their talent. But since they are on the show and WWE booked them to technically be on the show, even in pre-show form, because what the pre-show at least I think is supposed to do and is garnered and planned to do is to pump up the crowd and those watching at home, as those that are actually watching the pre-show itself. Me, I put on mute during the pre-show itself and then put the volume up and on when the matches actually happen. I mean, like I said, I love and respect and think Renee Young's awesome, but still, it's not that interesting to me. But point being is the pre-show matches are there to designate to get the crowd live. You're up and ready and excited for that night's event, right? So that's why I think that should be the case. Have pre-show matches on your DVDs for each and every single pay-per-view that you put on DVD, and specifically SummerSlam and WrestleMania. That should be the case. Will it ever be the case? Probably not. But for me, again, I'm talking about trivial things, but I always look at little things, and that little thing I hope can change. Just like the little thing I've been talking about for years for the wrestling game, to the WWE gaming series, now 2K, in the 2K era, of how I want the theme music and stuff, not theme music, but Titantron video and stuff like that for the Royal Rumble matches you do in the game. That trivial thing. Because I hear the bigger YouTubers that actually get to go there and talk to the developers about the game for this year. I know my Luigi PS4 now, Dank Ops and others, CM Pulse, were there in San Francisco, I believe, at 2K Studios to talk to them. But neither of them brought up in their YouTube videos, and neither have their fans. I tried to, but I guess they didn't see any of my my question about it, because that's the question I had to them to ask the developers, since I was obviously not big enough to be invited to go there myself. But that's the number one question I would have for them, even above anything else, is why hasn't that been the case? Like, what technological barriers is there still to the 2K series or to the game itself that we can't get that part of the Royal Rumble gaming experience on the 2K wrestling games? So as I talk about immensely on that trivial thing, that little thing for the video games, I probably will continue talking about that for the trivial little thing of pre-show matches being on DVD, Blu-rays, and stuff for pay-per-view events, and on the WWE Network itself as it goes up there. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Again, it's trivial and little things that I brought up, so I don't know if you care about either, but what are your thoughts?
Well, first off, I don't really play a lot of modern day wrestling games because it's just not as fun as like old games. Now, I'm not one of people say who lives in the past like, oh, old games will always be better. No, it's not me. But when I sit down and play like W2K18 and play it through it, it's like, it's okay. I mean, 17, whatever. It's okay. But then I'll go back and play like a game I grew up with, like SmackDown Shut Your Mouth or SmackDown vs. Raw 2005. I mean, 6. Like, this is like, I'm having more fun with these games than with the ones nowadays. Or the games nowadays are more realistic, and I can't fault them for that. That's also a detriment to it because, while yes, these games are more realistic, for me personally, they're just not as fun to play. While I like realism in my video games, I prefer to have fun more, and that's what video games are meant to do: have fun. So I'll take a game that's not as realistic, more arcade-like, but definitely is more fun to play. So that's just my opinion on wrestling games. I don't really play a lot of them nowadays. Maybe once in a while, but even then, that's rare. But the pre-show thing, I don't really like the pre-show that much. I mean, I'll sit down and watch pre-show matches, but I feel like most matches should be able to fill the main card. But the only time I'm found a pre-show is like SummerSlam or WrestleMania because you got so many matches that has to have a pre-show because not everything can fit in a 4 to 5 hour setting.
Mm-hmm.
But things like a B show, like for example, the Great Balls of Fire. There was no reason, like you didn't really need a pre-show match. You could have had every match on the main show. That's just me. I just feel like other than SummerSlam and WrestleMania, but I guess now Royal Rumble Survivor Series, that they're going to 4 hours too. The Big Four can have pre-show matches because they're going to have more matches, longer matches that go through longer time slots. You can't fit everything in. That makes us have a pre-show. But I'm not a big fan of the pre-show in general.
Yeah, like I said, Renee Young's my gal, along with other blondes in WWE. But beyond that, but still, I don't really watch the pre-show too much. But I just thought that the talent that are in those matches that we put in those slots and part of the pre-show itself, at least to me, deserve that respect of being on the DVD and being on the network for said pay-per-view. And again, if they can't do it for all of them, do it for at least SummerSlam, WrestleMania, and stuff like that. So we'll certainly see how that is. Kyron, is there anything else you want to bring up that has to do with Raw or SmackDown? Because the next thing I wanted to bring up are some news and notes that I've found on the interwebs. But I wanted to try to finish up our Raw and SmackDown talk before I move on to anything else.
I'm done with Raw and SmackDown, Steve. We can move on.
All right, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. And the first thing I wanted to bring up that has to do with news, Shane McMahon, who survived a real thing, helicopter accident, had to go down in New York. And I guess what I'm reading and what I want to talk about is the plan might be of Kevin Owens facing Shane McMahon at SummerSlam. Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. Now we know that Kevin Owens is going to get his rematch next week against AJ Styles, but I think we all can agree, or most, Kevin Owens fans might not, but most of us can agree that AJ Styles is going to retain the United States Championship and maybe might get that match between Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. And Kevin Owens maybe being upset and yelling at Shane or calling Shane out after the match or something. For even putting the match together last week, quote unquote, which was this week. While AJ Styles and Jericho getting the rematches together and not, whatever how they do it. But Kyron, would you like to see Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens at SummerSlam?
I mean, I'm gonna watch it if it happens, but I don't want to say sound like repeat, because I remember you asking me the same question right before WrestleMania about Shane and AJ, and I said I wasn't looking forward to it.
Right.
Surprised it was the best match of WrestleMania. So I'll be honest, I'm not really keen on seeing Shane and KO, but it could be a pretty good match because Kevin's a great wrestler. Shane's never been afraid to do anything. So who knows? It could be a good match. So I'm gonna keep it open mind this time because I'm not like I thought Shane and AJ was gonna suck. I just thought we should have got something better. And it was my favorite match of WrestleMania. So I'll keep it open mind.
The next piece of news being reports backstage of Triple H being annoyed and upset over the ending of Raw. Is obviously we already talked about Raw, but here specifically of the ending with the interaction between Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, and Triple H believing that it should have been saved for SummerSlam. I thought it was okay to be what it was, and then WWE just continuing to tease that we might get the Shield at some point. So I didn't have any issue with it. But what are your thoughts with this news/rumor of Triple H being upset with the ending of Monday Night Raw?
Honestly, I didn't even hear anything about this, but there's some things I agree with Triple H on, him being upset with Vince. There's other things I do not. Here, I mean, it didn't really bother me, but I see what he's saying, but I like Save Ambrose and Rollins officially getting together for SummerSlam. But since they might be going for the tag team titles, I see why they got did it there. Because I thought that SummerSlam match was gonna be, that handicap was gonna be saved for SummerSlam. But turns out it wasn't. I'm not really upset about it. It really doesn't bother me, but whatever.
And the next piece of business here, according to the Wrestling Observer, WWE is considering sending some main roster talents that used to be in NXT back to NXT this fall, with the idea of them being more useful as main eventers there in NXT than being lost in the shuffle on the main roster. And the two biggest names to go back to NXT are Enzo Amore and Luke Harper. So what are your thoughts on this piece of news? Do you think that the WWE should do that, have some of their main roster talents that aren't in storylines that they don't have anything for right now at this time, and have them go back to NXT? And if that is the case, or however you feel, who would you like to see go back to NXT and go back there and refresh?
Well, I'm actually on board with this. Now, who do I want? People I want to go back to NXT for different reasons. Because I like them and I think they can do better in NXT, or because I don't really care for them in general. First off, I'm gonna go to with Enzo and Luke Harper. I'm fine with both of them going back to NXT. Enzo, because now that his feud with Cass is over, they don't really have much to do with him, and they haven't really used Harper lately. Even though I have a feeling either he and Rowan are gonna get back together, which could be pretty cool. But send them both down to NXT and feud with, and try to win the NXT Tag Team titles again. That'd be pretty cool. But here's some rest I want to go back to NXT. Dana Brooke, because they're not doing anything with her anyway, and she was called up too early, and she really needs to go back down there. It'd be great for her. I would love for Dana Brooke to go back. Ty Dillinger, because, I really wanted him to come on the main roster, but they barely done anything with him. Those two, I remember back in my Extreme Rules review, I said I wanted Bayley to go back to NXT because they'd be completely screwed her up. But now she's been number one contender again. Let's see where they go from here. But if they screw up again, you might want to send her back to NXT. The Ascension, because they really, they pretty much ruined them out of the gate. And I wasn't watching NXT at the time, so I didn't know much about the Ascension in general. So they made me not care about them. Those are just some people I think should go back to NXT. If it wasn't for the Fashion Files, I would have said Breezango, but because the Fashion Files has been arguably the most consistently entertaining thing on SmackDown, I wouldn't send them back. But I would send back people who either need to go back because they weren't ready to be called up, like Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke, or people who, I feel can go back there and improve on something. That's just what I think about people going back to NXT.
All right. Yeah, I agree there. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I would like to see I would like to see Emma and Dana go back. Emma and Dana Brooke go back down to NXT. Luke Harper, I would want to actually stay on the main roster and get another push. Eric Rowan can go back down to NXT. Ty Dillinger can go back down to NXT. I don't think he's going to be doing much, at least to me. I want to be on him. Mike Bennett should have should have been in NXT, and maybe because of his wife, that's why they both went right away to the main roster without being on NXT. So I think he should have been there. Maybe I'm saying that too early because he just arrived, but it's my opinion there. But moving forward, AJ Styles was recently a guest on ENC's podcast, Edge and Christian. AJ spoke on a wide variety of topics, and here's what he said about the reason for the title change at MSG that everybody's been thinking about and giving the reasons for. And he said there's been a lot of speculation I've heard on the internet as why it actually happened. Was Kevin Owens hurt? Apparently now they're saying I have a DVD coming out, and if there is a DVD, I know this was coming out, I'd be happy to have one. I think it came down to, you know what, it is Madison Square Garden. Let's do it then. Let's put the championship there. The last time we did it was like in 2012 for the main roster. So I'm saying that he thinks that was just the main reason. Just do it there. Why not? No other ulterior motive, underbelly reasoning, at least to him, why that decision was made by Vince McMahon and by WWE to have the title change at the house show. So what are your thoughts on AJ's comments there? I know we already talked about this, but I mean just on AJ's comments specifically.
I still don't think that's a strong enough reason to put the title on him and then take it straight off. If they were gonna have AJ win the title on a DVD anyway, why not just save it for Battleground? Because you kind of just wasted it. Like AJ got the title at a house show that none of us really saw. What I heard was a really good match. Lost it to Kevin Owens at Battleground in a really sloppy finish to a good match, and then won it back 2 nights later. So you had 3 title changes in less than 4 weeks between 2 same guys. Why even do that? Since like I said, since you were gonna put AJ win the title on the DVD anyway, you might as well just do it at Battleground in front of a live audience. But hopefully, since it's gonna be on DVD, we'll be able to see that match.
Mm-hmm. True. Next business or next news item. According to the Wrestling Observer again, Braun Strowman got into an argument with Karen Jarrett, formerly Karen Angle, in a bar in Nashville last week after Braun was rude to her and refused to sign an autograph for her son. That is, until Karen revealed she was going to tell her son's father, Kurt Angle. When he found out, Braun Strowman was said to have gotten on his knees in front of her limo and apologized for his behavior and begged her to not tell Kurt Angle. So again, hearsay. This actually happened. I don't really see Braun on his knees to anybody in reality, let alone in a kayfabe storyline or heard anything. But what are your thoughts on this news rumor involving Braun Strowman and Karen Jarrett, formerly Karen Angle?
I'll be honest, Steve, I don't really have a comment on that. I really don't know what to say about that.
Okay. There we go. And we just move right along as I'm trying to get my notes here. Titus O'Neil has announced that WWE will be releasing a Titus Worldwide t-shirt very soon. Do you care or any words on that?
I don't know if I would get it myself, but I think it's pretty cool. They should have been done things like this because I actually kind of like the Titus brand. I'm not the biggest fan of Titus O'Neil on screen, but off screen, because of I heard how much of a good person he is. I can't not like the guy. So I hope this merchandise sells well for him and WWE.
Same here. Also, Drew McIntyre teasing on his Twitter of his old WWE theme coming back. It's a simple tweets. Some of the lyrics of the song, specifically "What is yours now is mine," from his old theme. So, what do you thought? Would you like to see his old theme come back? I was kind of hoping it would come back when he came back because that theme was freaking awesome. So, any thoughts on Drew McIntyre and his theme song? Would you like to see it when he has his title match against Bobby Roode at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn?
Oh, absolutely! I would love to see that thing come back. Like you said, that thing was awesome. And like I said, I didn't like Drew McIntyre. I wasn't a big fan of him at the time, but everyone loved his music. It was just such a good song to listen to, especially playing SmackDown Raw 2011. And whenever you hear that song playing during the menu scene, I just kept listening to it because it was such a good song. I was surprised it didn't come back. But yeah, I would like to see it come back, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't.
Yeah. The next thing being the 30 special on Ric Flair has been officially announced, and that it will be airing on November 7th on ESPN, 9 p.m. Central. 10 p.m. Eastern on that date again, November 7th of 2017 here on ESPN. What are your thoughts on that? And do you plan to even see it when it comes out on that date?
I don't know. I might watch it. It's a 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. You know, I'm surprised something like this hasn't been made already. Because he's Ric freaking Flair. He's one of the greatest of all time and someone who defined a generation. So I'm surprised they haven't been made a 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. But I don't know if I'll watch it. But I think it's a pretty good idea and it's something they should have been done.
Yeah, I can think of a couple others that should have been done as well. Let me see here, finding some other news and notes or other things going on. Not too much of serious things that I can really think of. Plus, my internet doesn't want to. Oh, here's something else. Daniel Bryan tweeting out after 5,000 retweets and 15,000 likes, WWE finally acknowledged hashtag smacking talk, then called it bewildering. Hashtag yes movement part 2 is coming because I guess on Twitter, on Daniel Bryan's Twitter and Renee Young's, they did like kind of to their own, the Talking Smack thing because of news that it was canceled. And now I guess technically back for only when they have SmackDown pay-per-views. So they decided to do their own, I think it was like 10 to 15 minute thing called Smacking Talk between those two. So I mean, I thought it was weird, but it was also comical. They're just having some fun there. But what are your thoughts on this? Did you see it at all, or what was the video of it with Daniel Bryan, Renee Young, that included Jason Gable or Chad Gable?
I did see the tweet Daniel put out after the fact. I did hear about they threw a shot at Raw with the Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan thing. Daniel just doesn't care. He really doesn't care what he says at this point, and I love it about him. I mean, he's still respectful and keeps tact what he says, but he just doesn't care. I didn't see it, but I love how he said yes movement part 2. And anyone that knows that Daniel got the push, he because of how vocal the fans were about it. And if the fans are this vocal about talking smack, I don't know if it'll get to that level. Who knows? Maybe that might bring it back. But right now, we're gonna have to deal with what is it, smack talk or something for a while. So Daniel, Renee, keep doing your thing. Hopefully, you can get talking smack back.
Yeah, I guess. And now it's called Smacking Talk, and I guess I also heard in the news Renee Young's going to be on both shows anyways. Raw and SmackDown now. Since she doesn't have any WWE Network show to do anymore, Unfiltered got canceled and Talking Smack got canceled, so she has free time. So might as well keep her working. The next big news item, though, I did want to bring up is Black Friday might be coming, as in tomorrow, actually. So unfortunately, we won't be able to on this show unless we do a special show. I don't know who would be up for that on Friday night or Friday afternoon, whenever this news would drop, if it does. Again, it's just rumors. But a Black Friday could be coming with releases happening. Now, I might need some big names being released for us to do a special show tomorrow. But that could be the case. But we'll see if it even at all happens. And sometimes with these things, it's to be figuring non-wrestling talent. It's just corporate office maybe people or something, and administrative people and this and that are released. And in the end, it is a Black Friday still to them because it's someone's livelihood. So take it 2 ways. However, but we'll certainly see if anything does come down probably tomorrow, and if anybody is released. So if you had to take a guess, first of all, who do you think should be or might be on the chopping block as it is the talent on the men or women's side?
Like, who do I think could possibly get fired?
Yep.
Right? I mean, I don't want to see anyone lose their jobs. Honestly, I don't. No matter how I feel about you as a wrestler, or or anyone that works there, I honestly don't want to see anyone lose their job. But people I could see possibly going to chopping block, maybe David Otunga. David Otunga. At least someone from the cruiserweight division I can see. And once again, I don't wish to see anyone get fired, even if I like them. I could probably see someone, maybe a woman like Dana Brooke, getting released. Those are at least those are just three off the top of my head. Maybe even Kalisto, because I haven't seen him do anything with him. And Sin Cara, since I haven't seen him do anything with him. But I don't really know right now. Sure, there's some wrestlers who haven't wrestled in forever. But if it wasn't for the Mr. Raj, Bo Dawson and Curtis Axel would have been named. But Miz saved their careers. Right now, that's all I can think of right now. I don't want to see anyone get fired, but there are probably some people deep down in WWE who we forgot about who don't wrestle. They'll probably get fired.
Right, like when JTG was dodging the bullets for a while and hiding out before he got released.
JTG, that was hilarious. I remember people were just counting down the days. How long is this man? He hasn't wrestled in years, yet he's still the company. For example, Crime Time broke up in 2010. He barely even wrestled till he finally was fired in, what was it, 2013, 2014 or something?
Yeah, I thought it was 2014.
It was 2014. Like, how did he dodge the bullet that long? So I don't know. There's probably someone deep down, like once we find out they got fired, we'll all say, "Oh, he still works there," or "Oh, she still works there." I completely forgot about them.
Oh, you know who I was thinking of that to be? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that person probably is going to be Paige.
Oh, Steve, I honestly don't.
Technically, she's still, on a roster. She's still paid by WWE in some way. I don't know how, but whatever. That, she's going to be that one that might get released tomorrow and future endeavored. And some will be saying, "Oh, I forgot she's still technically with WWE."
I just think, Steve, I knew she was still with WWE. It's just the fact that as a fan, knowing how talented she is, I don't want her to get fired. She's, for example, we all like all the dramas and things that happened with her over the last year with Del Rio. We forget, one, she's still a really good wrestler. That's the reason she was the first NXT Women's Champion. She was a really good wrestler. And here's one thing we all forget: she's still very young. She's only 24. She's only 7 years older than me. So like she's still young. She's a good wrestler. The problem is that her personal life has just got out of control to the point where I think WWE will fire her just to get it over with. Get it out of there. But if that does happen and everything with Del Rio gets straightened out, I can see them bring her back in about a year or two because let's be honest, they could really use her on both women's divisions. So I don't want her to get fired as a fan and as someone who knows just how good she is. But if she does, I can see her back very soon. She's still young. Like I said, she's only 7 years older than me. She's still very talented. Just, you can't let personal life destroy your professional life like this.
I agree. Yeah, she has bigger things to deal with right now than worrying about with WWE. And I always talk about how I know another name people bring up is Summer Rae, but I hope that maybe WWE actually puts her on TV, have her on SmackDown Live, or get her over to SmackDown Live because technically, if I remember correctly, she actually was drafted in the draft with the brand split or extension. Brand extension, and it was Monday Night Raw. So, however, whatever, have her go move over to SmackDown Live, be in that mix, and maybe get a push, let alone even a chance and sniff at the championship there on SmackDown Live. I wouldn't mind seeing. Oh, that would be, just with how good they both are, visually, whatever other ways as well. Besides just that, but having a Summer Rae, Carmella, SmackDown Women's Championship match is awesome. It would be awesome. It would be cool. And for that one, that'd be hard to predict whenever that pay-per-view would be if that match happens. Because obviously I'm both a fan of them, and for some reason I have this blonde thing with women's superstars. So I like Charlotte Flair as well. Even though originally that wasn't the reason, and then I figured out from all these women that I'm a fan of are blondes. So I guess I do have a thing. But point being is I would want Summer Rae to SmackDown Live, have her come back, get a push, maybe even at some point win the title. That'd be cool too. And go from there. But for actually being released, probably Paige being the big name tomorrow, if anything does at all happen. But we'll still have to see and wait it out. And I'm sure I will, or somebody during in our chain of our chat conversation on Twitter, one of us, look for will share whatever news comes down the pike in the morning, afternoon, whatever it does for WWE. But that's it. That's it for me on this. On my end for news and rumors of WWE. A lengthy show. We talk about Raw and SmackDown. Talk about Battleground a little bit, as it is titled Battleground Review Show. But we have to move it forward because WWE is, so we need to as well. on the road to SummerSlam, slowly getting there. So welcome to give any last thoughts or general thoughts and whatever you need to say last, and let them know where they can find you on social media and everywhere else.
Honestly, I don't have any last thoughts. So we talk about everything I want to talk about. Everything about anything you want to talk about, I responded. And we did enough talk about Battleground on Sunday night, and a little bit we talked about here. I don't really feel the need to really talk about Battleground anymore. But find me on YouTube at Kyron Chase, KYRINCHSE. The K and C are capitalized. I talk about wrestling, Sonic, My Little Pony Friendship with Magic. Follow me on Twitter, Splashbro Kyron, Instagram, Splashbro_Kyron, DeviantArt Kyron Chase, Tumblr Kyron Chase. I love being on here, and I'll hopefully be every time, any chance I can.
Indeed, every single week, and hopefully your bro, your buddy there, Mark Rambo, can make his return. If he's holding out till SummerSlam, then that's fine. I mean, that is the big show. You want to be there for at least, but it'd be nice to have him weekly as well because he is a co-host. But either way, I'm gonna have, like I said, for those watching live, for those share this video to others, or whatever. August 17th, this is going to be the channel to be at. 7 p.m. Central, pay-per-view prediction episode. You can have some big heavy hitters on YouTube and others. I'm going to be glad to have on. I already have other amount of them written down. If any others that might want to, because there are some open slots left technically. 10 total can be in a Google Hangout. And technically, if there is an overflow, which it might actually look like there might be, that's all right. We can rotate. I know Palmer J. I don't think I'm going to be having him on here too long for the prediction episode. There are others, and then others can speak up and talk. So we'll definitely get to there when we get there and have the guests that we have. Like I said, I have a couple already penciled in and ready to go. But welcome to follow me on Twitter at W_podcast. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Kyron's channel. Like the video. Share the video. And beyond that, I hope everybody has a great rest of your evening. Enjoy your weekend as well. And I'll be back here Monday for the Raw review on Monday night, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. Above all else, and as always, take care.
Peace out.